Welcome back to the Conjugate Dads podcast. I'm your host, Dave Chase, with my co-host, Justin Commodoris, as always. Justin, how are we doing on this lovely Tuesday morning?
We're just doing fantastic.
Yeah, great. Kids are back in school. We just came back from summer break on our last episode, so back into the spring of things. Into the full swing of things is what I meant to say. That'll be fun listening back. Anyway, today's...
I saw my breath this morning.
Oh, really? It's cold out there.
50 degrees this morning.
Oh, it's about 90s here still in Texas. I know you don't miss that, though. So today's topic is the GLP-1s. So definitely a popular topic that we have thought about for a few weeks here. It seems to be every other ad, I would say, every time I watch a sports game on television. I don't really watch the news, but when I do put it on, it seems to be on the news too. Definitely a talking point for most Americans, with obesity being as high it is. So I'll just say, Justin, your opening thoughts on GLP-1.
So I think the first thing before we even get into that is I think that you and I have done a really good job when it comes to topics on being very neutral. And I think we kind of set out that unless it was something, which really there's three things that me and Dave will never be neutral on. And it's that everybody should strength train, everybody should do zone 2 work, and everybody should eat a healthy diet. Like, I think those are things that most people aren't going to be neutral on, and all they're going to support those things. When it comes to a lot of these other, super catchy topics, we try to be as neutral as possible so that we can kind of spread good information and not be so one-sided, because that's what you get on social media, is all the conflict with one-sidedness. And I think it's good to look at things from both sides so that you can allow people to make informed decisions when it comes to putting different chemicals and compounds into their bodies. Now, with all of that being said, okay, the GLPs, the Ozempics, the Wegovys, the retatrutides, the tirzepatides, the Mounjaros, the semaglutides, GLP-1s, and a lot of people don't know this, I mean, they're already in your body, okay? So they're just, they're glucagon-like peptides, and they're GLP, that already exists in your body. It's like with any other peptide that you could take, you're just ramping up what it does for you internally. And I think that's important to know, because a lot of people just think that it's an exterior chemical entering into the body. The other thing is that the I want to say semaglutide is like the baby where it started it all, but that's been around for, I think it's like 25 years that it's been looked at and researched and used for diabetes and insulin control. So these are not things that are new. They're just new because now they seem new because people have been using them a lot, and it's, social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was just doing some research, sorry there, about when it was back on the market. So I actually did a little comprehensive research, had AI do that for me. And like you just said, Ozempic's been on the market itself, which is the first semaglutide product to be approved by the FDA since December 5th, 2017. The oral tablet, which you and I talked about before, which many people don't know, and I don't either, is Rybelsus. That's been on the market since September of 2019. Wegovy, June 4th, 2021. But as you said, this actually fundamentally altered with the therapeutic landscape was fundamentally altered with the 2005 FDA approval of exenatide, the first GLP-1RA to enter the market. So as you said, 20 years is a long time, but we've been hearing about it since 2017, 2020, that sort of area. And like you said, I think that is a huge misconception. You can take this external thing that your body does not already make, and it is just going to work, and you don't have to work. I think that was the biggest hurdle that I've seen from people who have been covering it on the news with regular, man on the street interviews, or even just with regular laymen, even talking in news studios, or you see clips. Oh yeah, I just take this and I'm good, or anecdotal evidence with people just, oh yeah, I took this and that's all I had to do. And I mean, that's not really what the drug is supposed to do. And we can go over the basic benefits. I don't know if that's where you wanted to start today.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that with anything, there's gonna be like side effects. I mean,
Hmm.
some people, if they eat peanuts, they die. Like you can drink too much water and drown yourself. Like
Right.
there's gonna be potential dangers and things that come along with different chemicals, so on
Yep.
and so forth. And although I tend to be on the side of the peptides, changing the health care landscape, because really right now it's just sick care is what most healthcare is
Hmm.
just fixing something or bandaging something. It's not about health and nutrition and getting healthier and diet and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, peptides are things that are already produced in your body, and by adding peptides that into the system, which are just a long chain of amino acids, right, those kind of kick up production of whatever that peptide was designed to do. So Ozempic, a GLP-1, is designed to increase sensitivity to insulin, help people with diabetes get rid of inflammation. And
Yep.
oh, by the way, it also shuts off certain pathways to hunger and food noise. And it's also been used for people that have addictive tendencies and helping them get off drugs, people that get on Ozempic. It's very well known that if they drank alcohol before, they have no taste for alcohol now and they can't stand it, and it makes them sick if they have it. Same thing with cigarettes. So there are a lot of benefits to these things, but again, like if not dosed properly, there could potentially be side effects. Certain people's DNAs are going to impact what medication you should
Hmm.
take, so on and so forth, right? So
Yep.
again, like you can get a gene test through your doctor to tell you what medications will work well for you and what medications probably won't work well for your blood type and DNA type. So it's important to understand, like, you can go to a nurse practitioner or a GP, and, we'll start you on, you're overweight, we'll start you on some Wegovy, and we'll start you on, 5 milligrams a day. But it's like, wait a second, what are we basing that dosage off of? And you and I both know that in anything that we take, like the minimum effective dosage is the best thing to do. So it's better to start really, really low and then build your way up so that you can have minimal to no side effects when
Right.
it comes to these things.
And just to pause for a second, that's the baseline of even food too, right? If I'm trying to gain 20 pounds, I wouldn't just increase my food by 5,000 calories,
Yep.
because now we know it's not going to go slow and steady and putting on the least amount of fat as possible. So why would this be any different? So for anyone listening, well, why couldn't I just take the most possible to of a GLP-1 to lose the maximum amount of weight in X amount of days? Well, that's not really healthy either. Slow and steady is going to win the race.
And here's the problem we run into with social media is, like, right now you see a lot of stuff about creatine, right? Which, go
Yep.
figure, how long has creatine been around for? But a lot of the studies, in fact, they just dropped a study about 2 days ago. And granted, it was, only for, I want to say 11 people, but it was an Alzheimer's study. And 10 of 11 followed the regimented dose, and they all saw pretty large increases in focus, just brain functionality, right? And so the thing with that is the brain dose for creatine is very high. So if I have a female that comes to me, and I'm just going off of social media, or let's just say a female sees these posts on social media and automatically is like, okay, well, I need to start at 20 grams a day, and she weighs 110 pounds, probably going to crap your pants. Like, that's the one bugaboo with creatine. If you take way too much, you get diarrhea.
Right.
That's the
And
one side effect,
I did
if
look
there
it
is
up
one.
too, just to see when creatine actually started. So it was actually first discovered by a French chemist, Michel Eugene Chevreul. Hopefully I get that right. Isolated it
Michelle.
from skeletal muscle. He named it after the Greek word for meat, crease. Early 1900s, studied in the early 20th century, showed that the body could store it and ingesting it could increase the creatine content. In the 70s, the Soviet scientists reportedly used creatine to enhance the performance of their Olympic athletes, though this information was not widely known to the public at that time. And then 1992, groundbreaking study by Dr. Roger Harris and his colleagues demonstrated that oral creatine supplementation significantly increased muscle creatine stores and improved exercise performance. That research helped lay the groundwork for its popularity. And then 1993, it became available to the public as a sports nutrition supplement. EAS was the first company that came out with it. Phosphagen was the name of that product in the 1990s
I took
onward.
it.
Yeah. EAS was huge when I was like in high school.
1997 is
Tim
when I
Tebow, I
started
think, was
taking
a big,
creatine.
yeah.
So it's like,
Um,
that's a
yeah, I
long
mean,
time, dude.
well, so yeah, so 1992, you have the study. 93, it becomes available. So 32 years that it's been available as a sports nutrition supplement, and people are still doubting it. Now let's go bring it back to GLP-1s. It's been around for 20 years. In 10 to 15 years, people are still going to be like, wait, that was good? That was beneficial? Or, there are some side effects, which if you wanted me to run through those, I had already brought them up this morning.
So, and we, yeah, certainly, just to
Yep.
kind of throw this out there, there is currently a $2 billion lawsuit filed against Nordisk, and Eli Lilly
Yep.
for products liability litigation. And essentially, what that means is that the drug caused certain side effects that weren't initially.
Is this the pregnancy stuff?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
It was a failure to warn on certain side effects. Again, this all of this to me, if and again, we could probably go and find out. It would just take hours and hours. Like, I would want to know what the amounts were that people were taking, because I believe that people were overusing starting off, because the doctors didn't understand, because it was like, oh my God, I gotta give Wegovy to my clients because they're gonna
Right.
get sick results, and um, then I can make so much money on all of these different things because it's so expensive. I mean,
Mm.
in a lot of cases, it's anywhere from $250 to $500 a month, for these little bitty injections. So people are in this huge rush to get a result, so they take more, and then they get the gastroparesis, or they get some blurred vision or something like that. I think there was a group of males that are a part of that lawsuit, and blindness was an issue.
Oh,
But
wow.
again, you know is the drug being used for its claims, or are we just giving this to everyday people that are just being lazy and don't want to put in the additional work,
Hmm.
right? Like, if you're really overweight and you're type 2 diabetic, you're insulin resistant, the diet's not working for whatever reason, the only way that you really see to lose weight is just to not eat food. Obviously, that's not realistic. And there's a lot of people out there that are holding on to excessive amounts of body fat because they are unable to break through the inflammation that
Hmm.
is plaguing their body. And I've seen this with some of my clients where their weight loss journey, even though they're reporting to doing all the correct things, they're still struggling to lose weight, even though they're able to get stronger. And to me, that looks like more of an inflammation issue. Whereas, like, if you have enough inflammation built up in your body, no matter what you do, outside of just not eating, because
Hmm.
eventually that will all go away, but no matter what you do, your body doesn't want to rid itself of the fat. Okay, because the inflammation is kind of holding some things up. Again, that's like up for debate. Definitely, these are just some things that I've seen, but these people tend to be pretty good candidates for the GLP-1s. I've had a couple of people that I work with that have taken, we're talking about microdoses. And in the microdose realm, that really just rids the body of the inflammation and allows weight loss and fat loss to kind of kickstart, right? And
Hmm.
so these people aren't losing a ton of weight, but they're dropping body fat. And so that tells me that inflammation was like the main issue, because you can see it in their face. Their face just gets leaner because they're
Hmm.
ridding their body of the inflammation. Their bloating's going away. And they're not having side effects because they're micro dosing it. They're not taking bolus dosages. They're taking little bitty baby doses once a week or something like that for like a maintenance dose. And they're getting pretty good results from it. And I just want to throw this out there. That's not per my recommendation either. I've never recommended anybody to take a GLP-1. This is something they decided to do on their own. They consulted with me about it, and I said, I'm happy to continue to work with you to help you, because it's still important to have a coach in that situation, I believe, because they need to train and they still need to eat good.
Yep, for sure. I mean, and everything we're talking about, I think it's best to, like you said, you were talking about the inflammation, but to bring it back, just so everyone knows, this is how the GLP-1 receptor agonists work. They're stimulating the pancreas. I'm just going to read the notes here. to release more insulin after you eat, which helps to lower the blood sugar, inhibiting the release of glucagon, the hormone that raises blood sugar. It slows down the rate at which your stomach empties, which is, I think, a benefit and a side effect with my research this morning, which helps you feel full for longer and
that
reduces how
hormone
much you eat.
is ghrelin, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then sending signals to the brain that reduce appetite and increase feelings of fullness. So primarily used to treat type 2 diabetes and obesity. And I know that there's other medication out there that's been used for diabetes medication that other people are using instead. Bodybuilders, powerlifters, etc. Scientists, quote unquote, of their own variety. And that's totally fine. It's just, that's not, we don't recommend that. But the benefits could be improved blood control, blood sugar control, promote some weight loss, improve cardiovascular health, protect kidney function, improve liver health, and then potential, it says here, neurological benefits, and then reduced risk of other health issues, so joint pain, better sleep, potential decrease in the risk of certain addictions, like you had mentioned. Common side effects: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain, and bloating. Reduced appetite could be a positive and a negative. And then serious side effects and reasons to avoid GLP-1s: a history of certain thyroid cancers, pancreatitis, severe GI conditions, kidney problems, diabetic retinopathy, pregnancy and breastfeeding. Can't use that, obviously, when you're breastfeeding or pregnant.
That would be very not smart.
No. Allergic reactions. The cost is high, so that is kind of a side, not a side effect, but a definitely a negative. And then inadequate results or side effect intolerance. I think that, with the brief research that we had with speaking to people about this, they gain the weight back because they just go right back to their bad habits. I mean, it all goes back to changing your lifestyle. And you mentioned the microdosing for your clients. They're still making sure everything else is in check. And if you're still eating like an asshole, as the saying goes, then you're going to get those kind of results. You're not going to get the results you want. And just taking a magic pill, you still have to move.
I mean, yeah, I think that's going to be the new analogy is if you eat like an asshole, you get shitty results.
Right. And I did mention here, or you mentioned that lawsuit that's currently happening, where there's multiple lawsuits. Gastroparesis, is that how you say that? Stomach paralysis. So it's not allowing the stomach to empty enough, leading to severe and persistent symptoms like the nausea, the vomiting, sometimes of undigested food hours after eating, abdominal pain, bloating, and malnutrition. You have intestinal blockage, vision-related side effects, as you mentioned. We said pancreatitis, gallbladder issues, blood clots, and this was not consulted, as the lawsuit alleges, or this was not communicated to people who take it.
What I'm seeing and hearing, because the two main portions of that lawsuit are failure to inform, and in those side effects that you mentioned, it was retina side effects and gastrointestinal side effects, but there's no specific thing that's labeled to that. Whereas, gastroparesis is very specific, right? Like, oh, by the way, your stomach could just stop working forever.
Right.
Or retina side effects. Oh, by the way, you could go blind temporarily. Like, I think those are things that if they specifically labeled, then maybe, there would be people that wouldn't take it. Right. So they just kind of leave it open for interpretation, which sounds to me like common pharmaceutical company practices.
Yeah. And it says, just to go on that, the vision related side effect even more, these lawsuits are alleging that they cause conditions like arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, so NAION, which is sometimes referred to as a stroke of the optic nerve. If someone said to me, hey, you're going to probably lose a bunch of weight on a GLP, but you might have a stroke of your optic nerve, are you still in? I would probably say no.
So, hey, like, specifically speaking, let's dumb that down. Your eyes aren't going to work.
Right. Like, hey, your eyes are going to have a stroke and just the lights are out now. Yeah. Are you still in? No, I'm not. I am out.
So I think that's like the gamble. But again, I would say that, so if you look up, there's this term out there when it comes to statistical relevancy. So statistical relevancy is anything more than 5% would be would be shown to be consistently relevant, or below that is statistically irrelevant, right?
Mhm.
So that group of people that are having those issues, technically, those people are not irrelevant. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from a statistic standpoint, the amount of people that take GLP-1s compared to the people that have side effects would be seen as statistically irrelevant. The statistics are still in the favor of someone if done appropriately and for like a health reason. It's probably unlikely that you're going to have those extreme side effects. I would guess that the people that are having those extreme side effects are in that statistical irrelevance category of less than 1%.
Right. And I did want to mention not just the commercials and the news coverage of it, but I will say two celebrities that popped out in general to me, and I'm sure we could name other ones, but I know you and I both know Charles Barkley pretty well. He took it, he actually got down, he took Manjaro, and he had done a few interviews about this when he, or just talking while he was on his show Inside the NBA on TNT. Now it's moving over to ESPN, but said he went from 352 to 290 pounds, which he's a big guy, but still, he should not be over probably 275. So, I mean, the fact that he got under 300 is good for him.
What does he go, like 6'9"?
I don't know how tall he is. I want to say he's like probably only 6'6". Barkley, San Antonio always pops up. Yeah, he's 6'6". And then Serena Williams is the other one. So, like I said, Charles Barkley took Manjaro. Says he
I didn't
used
know
it.
Serena Williams.
Yeah, I just saw this the other day. But going back to Charles, he's mentioned facing challenges with supply and access issues that caused him to stop the treatment for a time, leading to some weight gain. But he's a celebrity ambassador for Ro, a telehealth company that provides access to GLP-1 medications like Mounjaro, Zepbound, Ozempic, and Wegovy, and is restarting his weight loss with them. His journey. He's spoken out about his motivation, which stemmed from a doctor's warning about his health. But going back to Serena, didn't mention which one that she had taken, but she lost over 31 pounds after struggling with weight gain following the birth of her two children. Medication was a tool, not a shortcut. It says that she kept doing her diet and exercise, spoken out against the stigma that these drugs are an easy way out. And she's a brand ambassador for Ro. Her husband is an investor in and a board member of Ro, which, of course, as I said before, provides access to these GLP-1s out there. And then her goal was to just hit a healthy weight, and she hit a wall where her body wasn't responding. So I actually do believe her that she probably just used micro doses and had a chef and had someone train her like she probably
Didn't
has
she
for
just
over 30
compete
years.
in the U.S. Open at 45 years old?
That's Venus.
Okay.
Yeah, Serena. I don't think Serena plays anymore.
Got it. Again, one thing that people I think fail to realize because of the psychological.
Also Venus has like an autoimmune disorder, so the fact that she's still out there is like insane.
Yeah. The psychological effect is well studied and researched that there's something out there called food noise, and it really quiets down the brain against the food noise. And
Yep.
I kind of understand that. If you've ever had a stressful moment where you just start reaching for stuff and you don't even realize it, and your thought is to like, I just need to eat. Like that's food noise. And so I think along with anything else, and I'll give you an example, anyone that gets on hormone replacement therapy, like you're going to be taking that for the rest of your life.
Right.
And if you decide you can come off of it, but you're just not going to feel anywhere near as good as you should or would with the HRT. So I think that the GLPs kind of fall into that same category where a lot of these people should just consider that, if they're stopping it and they're gaining their weight back and then starting it again and then they're losing some more weight, microdosing at a maintenance dose, we have 20 years. We have 20 years of research that says it either does A or B. And there's nothing that says that it's going to negatively impact someone's longevity per se if they're not having those side effects. But on the positive side, if these people are losing a bunch of body fat and getting rid of inflammation and their cholesterol markers are getting better and all their blood work is getting better, then it's like they're adding years to their life then, right? So why wouldn't you just take a micro dose that has a lower expense and there's not really any inconvenience with that because it's just the main form of administration is just an insulin needle that goes into your belly fat so you don't even feel it, right? And you're doing that once a week at a maintenance dose. I just don't see why people wouldn't just do that versus coming off of it. You know what I mean?
Right. And I obviously I think that this goes without saying, but we should say it so our listeners aren't confused. If you're considering this, you need to talk to your doctor first. And I will happily speak for Justin on this too. I think that it's always good, both of us being married men, to speak to your partner about it, because as we stated before, if you have a goal in mind, whether you want to lose weight, gain weight, get stronger, just live longer, if your partner doesn't support you in that journey, I don't think it's going to go as well. I think it'll be a tougher hill to climb. And so if you're thinking about it, I think talking to your coach, talking to your doctor first, making sure that that's completely okay, but then your partner has to be on board, because we definitely already understood and talked about, if your partner doesn't support it, I don't think it's going to get the results you want. And then now you're going to have to either hide it from them, or you're going to be yo-yoing again. And what's the point of taking it if you're not going to go all in? So please consult those people before you just get on it.
My quote that I came up with has always been, if your partner doesn't support your health and wellness journey, you don't have a partner, you have a roommate. And so those discussions should be had. Dave is 100% right. It is a health issue, right? And so if you have a health issue, and a lot of people have a health emergency with as much body fat as people are walking around with, a lot of Americans, it's something that at the bare minimum, it's worth considering. But I think where we need to segue here is making sure that you've covered all your bases prior to going this route.
Right.
Because it's just like, the big thing nowadays is like, are you natty or not, right? And what do people, all the old heads that have done anabolics and have used all the pharmaceuticals, they will tell all the younger broccoli heads that double down on what you can do naturally and
Right.
take your time and eat and do everything the right way before you even consider dabbling in any type of anabolic realm, right? So we're talking about minimum 10 years of hard training, of eating and dieting consistently. And again, I think the big problem is that with the advent of social media and all the things that you see and all the comparisons that take place because of what you're seeing, and a lot of times it's doctored and it's not real to begin with, but people just tend to want to like, I can get that now. If I do this, I'm going to jump right in. And I think there's a very strong relationship between what you see with the gym bros and what you see and steroids, and what you see with a lot of people that want to lose weight in the weight loss community and GLPs, is they see people that are just losing copious amounts of body fat and muscle. And they're like, all right, they did that in 3 months. I'm 3 months away from losing 60 pounds. Let's go. And we know that losing 60 pounds that fast is not great. So that's why you want to make sure that you've done all your due diligence with the nutrition, the training, the recovery, the sleep, the cardio, all of the other things before you consider even doing something like this.
I mean, this is the the Always Sunny season where Mac gains and loses 60 pounds in like 3 months. Well, he gains it in 3 months, but then he like loses it again in like another 3 months. I think it's like a 3-3-3. Like he lives with it for 3 months and then he cuts it. Like that is, I mean, they're trying to highlight it in Always Sunny how unhealthy that is. And I think it just goes right over everyone's head. Like, oh yeah, it's like so funny. Like he's gaining a bunch of weight. It's like, it's actually like not funny. Like, yes, the show is funny, but people do this way too much, or maybe not 60 pounds, but you see someone gain, you don't know what they're going through. But if someone's gaining 30 plus pounds in a month, there's something going on there. So the same issue. If you're losing 60 pounds in 3 months, big issue.
Dave, I have people that even recently, I showed a before, like a 4-way before and after of one of my clients recently that's just gotten insanely
I know the one you're talking about, your female
uncommon
client.
results, right? And I have people I have people that will message me and say, well, how long did it take her to do that? I'm very interested in this process. and I say a year and a half and I don't hear anything from them.
Not quick enough. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
dude, I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but at my age, a year and a
Right.
half is like,
That's
I'm
pretty quick. Yeah, it's
staring
pretty
down the
quick still.
barrel of 44. Like,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
had my birthday.
It
You know
should
what I
be.
mean?
It should be 3 months or less. It's like,
No, if you get 8 to 10 pounds in 3 months, you're doing fantastic.
yeah,
I
sure. I
mean,
mean,
like,
are you 400 pounds? Like, yes, you could lose 30 pounds in a month. Yes.
sure.
Right. But if you're a female or a male and you're only maybe 30 to 40 pounds overweight, you should not lose more than 10 pounds in a month, because
This
if
is
you're
what
losing
people
that,
don't
yeah.
understand, though, Dave, is that when someone's 400 freaking pounds, the reason why they lose weight so fast initially is because all the inflammation and excess hydration that's sitting in their tissues. They're literally a walking camel. And so they drop that off, and then things kind of tend to motor down a little bit, and that's where people kind of get stuck, is they're like, I lost weight so fast. Yeah, because you were carrying copious amounts of inflammation in water, in fat cells. It's just like fat soluble water, right? It's like, or water soluble fat, whatever. Regardless of that, they're holding on to all that stuff and they lose it super fast. So it's really easy to get results with somebody that weighs 400 pounds, because if you just reduce their calories and increase a little bit of movement, they'll lose 30 pounds in 3-4 months. The expert level coaches are the ones that know what to do after they lost that first 30 to 40 pounds. Then that's when it gets like, you got to really dial some things in.
Well, it's a specialized, it's a specialized stuff. Like me coming off of, I like to think of it like, if I were coaching myself, how would I do this? And I think it's like, you have to consider the factors of being a new dad. Emily definitely wakes up more than I do in the middle of the night. And if she listens to this, she's going to laugh. But it's like waking up in the middle of the night, waking up early, staying up late, making sure, you're still functioning for what you need to do as a husband and a father, and work and all that sort of stuff. Make sure the house isn't, a wreck. Coaching those sorts of people in their early to mid 30s, new parent, stress levels are at an all-time high. Food levels are food levels. Food is not great consistently. How do you get results for that person? It's like, yeah, you just got to go slow and steady. A year and a half sounds amazing for her to get those results. It means you're all in, right? It's a lifetime.
You went from completely over fat to 17% body fat, which, I mean, I had this debate with her, like, how much leaner do you want to go here? Like, and so the intelligent conversation is, when you get to that amount of leanness, let's talk about building some muscle now. Because if you do decide you want to get leaner and we want to get back to that, or stay at that 16%, adding muscle will make you look even leaner, because the reality is anything really in that 16 to 13% for women is going to make you not have your menstrual cycle anymore.
Right.
Because your body says, I'm not getting enough fat to sustain having a child, so I need to just stop this process from even happening, right? And so, again, the smart coach is going to say, we need to cycle calories up, focus on building muscle for a time, and then when you cut down again, you're going to look even leaner and more athletic.
Yeah. And looking at the long-term goals is what I'm hearing. And then I think too, like looking at the calendar and understanding that we're about to be in holidays pretty soon. And some of your clients might say, oh, I want to lose weight right before the holidays. That's fine. But I know that it's going to be easier for you to maintain the lifestyle of, hey, it's okay to be on a calorie increase during Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Day.
Totally.
Like I'm a big college football fan. I'm thinking, and regular football, right, or NFL. I'm just thinking sports. But what usually happens at sports gatherings? There's always a bunch of food. So that food noise that you talk about, how do you lower it down? And I think it's going back to what you said. It's planning it out long term. What do you want to look like a year from now?
I want
10 years from now when
I want the food noise at that time, man, because I want to be able to taste all the things. I don't want to have a plate that has like half a slice of turkey, a spoon of mashed potatoes, maybe one shrimp. Like, I want all of it, and I'll deal. I wouldn't
go if that's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
I'd rather stay home and not go.
So I think this is very much a give and take situation. You gotta there's enough before and afters out there. All you have to do is go on TikTok and type in GLP-1 before and afters, and you can see the people.
I had to delete TikTok. I can't look at it
Yeah,
anymore.
well, or Instagram.
Yeah, that's
And
another one.
you can see the people that I don't have a better description here other than, so if this hurts someone's feelings, I'm sorry, but you can see the people that look like they just went through the Holocaust, right? Like they have their skin and bones, right? They've lost
Should I do this here? Let's see.
fat and muscle, okay? And so the reason why do they put the weight back on so fast, Dave? What did they lose? They lost muscle, right?
Right.
Muscle is your most potent metabolic engine. It is an organ, right? And so if you don't have it, you can't keep that metabolism revved up. So you have to fight tooth and nail to consume as much protein as you can in a state when you're not hungry, and you have to strength train as much as you can, even though you don't have the glycogen stores to keep that energy to do a 45-minute to an hour workout.
And I will say, I typed it in. This lady microdosed for GLP-1s for 3 months, and she looks like she probably only lost 10 pounds. I was going to say she looks like she lost 10 pounds. She looks great. This other couple, same thing. Let's see here. Doesn't say how much they lost, but probably 15, 20 pounds. This lady lost 115 pounds. I mean, over a year though, a year and a half, or a year and a half. So it's like, you can definitely do it. And I think the issue is the overdosing and not doing the lifestyle changes. Those are, I think, the main takeaways from this episode is, are you willing to go all in, or are you willing to just take a shot or take a pill and hopefully that it works? I mean, it goes back to anything, right?
Yeah, that's what it's this. Listen, what happens if you take copious amounts of anabolic androgenic steroids and you don't train and eat good? You gain a bunch of water and then you lose it all when you stop, right? You do gain some muscle in that process. We know that to be true. Even without training, you will gain some muscle. But when you stop, you lose it all. You lose all the gains. So again, what is the point? If you're going to take something to knock off 50 pounds and you gain 48 back,
right,
what's the point? So that's where people got to understand, like, this isn't just something where you take it and then you just kind of wait and see what happens. Yeah, you'll lose some weight. And if you're in an emergency metabolic situation where you're 450 pounds, like, I understand. Just you do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
But I would say 80% of people that are doing this are not in that emergent metabolic situation. They're in a situation where they're like, yeah, I need to lose about 20 pounds. I really don't feel like doing the extra shit to get myself where I need to be. Let me just do this and I can get it done and feel better about myself afterwards.
Right.
And unfortunately, when they stop, the rebound is real. That's not something that anybody can debate. It is it is real. It's a thing. And a lot of it, yes, does have to do with muscle. Some of the newer generation GLP-1s that are still in stage 2 and stage 3 trials kind of omit that muscle loss, but the sarcopenia process from even happening. Like we talked about retatrutide. That's not available yet for through the FDA. It's not been approved yet, but it is available through research companies. Again, if you have a dog or a rat that you want to test this stuff out on, then by all means, it's available for you to purchase that way. We don't recommend trying it on yourself or testing it on your husband or anything like that, because it's not there yet. But what they have done is they have most of the GLPs. So for instance, your Wegovy's and your Ozempics, they're just utilizing one receptor activation, which is increasing the insulin secretion, slowing the stomach emptying, and reducing appetite. Then you've got I believe it is the Monjoros of the world. Those add the second receptor activation, which will actually improve insulin sensitivity and will contribute to appetite control. And then the third stage that they've now added in is the glucagon receptor activation, which this increases energy expenditure and fat breakdown. So you're guaranteed to now lose fat, and that contributes to more profound weight loss. This kind of balances and blends the three together, which again will also be helpful in terms of preventing a lot of that muscle degradation that will occur. So really the triple agonist is kind of like what you're looking for compared to the Wegovy, which is a single agonist, and the Zepbound tirzepatide, which is a dual agonist. There's also less side effects with the triple agonist because, again, they've gone through and figured out how to do it a little bit more properly without the incidences of more side effects. So kind of keep that in mind. That's one that's going to be coming down the pipe that should make it through that stage 3 trial. And then I've heard also, because I do a lot of listening and research when it comes to this stuff, there's going to be a quadruple agonist that's got a muscle builder built into it. I'm sure you've heard about all of the new follistatin drugs that are coming out where people are going to be able to take a pill and gain 25% more muscle than somebody that trains, but without actually having to do the work.
That's crazy.
Which is absolutely insane. But anyways, so not really relevant to this topic, but people should kind of, if you're somebody that's like, you're losing some weight, but it's going real slow, just be patient, right? Don't feel like you have to jump right into a 1 agonist or a 2 agonist or even a 3 agonist if you're not ready to make a life altering decision.
Yeah. And I think going back to what we said beforehand, fix what you can fix naturally, start eating better, start moving more, consult your physician on what they would like you to start with. Consult a coach if you want to get stronger and leaner. Stop eating takeout and junk food. And then if you're hitting a wall, as Serena Williams said here, then yes, maybe incorporating it wouldn't be such a bad idea as long as everything else is going to be in check.
Here's another pretty insane deterrent, David. So, monthly costs without insurance. Zempic, $998 per month. Wegovy, $1,350. Some retail prices up to $2,000. Mounjaro, $1,070. And tirzepatide, $1,060 per month. Oral semaglutide is $5 per month. So I don't know. It's not showing me with insurance. I don't know how that works with insurances footing the bill for different GLP-1s. Now, you could, again, theoretically go to a research chemical company and get it at a quarter of the cost of that. But again, that's going to be for your lab dog, your lab rat, your lab cat, your lab cow, something like that. It's not going to be for human consumption.
Right. Well, I Googled some sites for my dog to lose a little bit of weight here. My female is a little, and I am talking about my dog, just so everyone knows, she is overweight. She is overweight. Yeah.
If you can honestly look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm doing 100% of everything to the best of my ability, right? Exactly. Then you probably fall into this category unless you have a medical issue that just prevents you from being able to lose the weight like you're supposed to, right? Mm-hmm. Those are the people that should be utilizing these drugs. If it's for whatever reason you have some kind of issue that's not allowing you to rid your body of inflammation and body fat and different things like that, no matter what you do, right? You're not drinking alcohol, you're not smoking, you're not doing drugs, you're sleeping 8 hours, you're eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you are training hard, but smart. You're doing your conditioning work. You're doing your zone 2 work, right? You're keeping your stress low. If you're doing 100% of those things all the time for at least a year and you haven't lost a pound, you may be a qualified candidate for a GLP-1. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't look at myself in the mirror and say that.
Right. I definitely can't.
So, again, I'm not going to be a good candidate for that drug, right? But again, I think that's what it all boils down to, Dave, is like, are you willing to be realistic with yourself and say, I'm not really doing all of the necessary things. You can get as frustrated with me as you want at saying that,
Right.
And so, oh, well, I'm this, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah. The
You're,
excuses after
you're
someone's
making
real with you.
all
Yeah.
of these excuses
Right.
as to
I'm stressed.
I'm stressed,
Time.
so that I'm eating more. It's
My
like,
dad.
if I stressed you out and then I sealed your mouth shut, would you be able to eat? No, you just be hungry. You ain't gonna die. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
this is like the ultimate example for when people tell me, and again, this is outside the realm of medical conditions. Okay, I'm not being a dick. But if I tell you, Dave, if I placed you on an island
Yep.
and you didn't have access to food for,
Yep.
let's say, 1 month,
Yep.
we know that you and I both have enough body fat to sustain us
Yeah, I'd be okay.
from dying for a month, right? Would you lose weight? Yes or no? It's a easy question, right? If the answer is yes, which it is yes 100% of the time,
Of course.
okay, then what we have is a discipline meets a overconsumption of calories versus an under burning of energy.
Yep.
That's just what it is.
It's a controllable variable.
It is a controllable variable. We know, like, there was a gentleman, you can Google it right now. This guy was 500 pounds.
Oh,
He
I did
didn't
read
eat
about
for
this.
1 year,
Yeah.
and he dropped 300. Didn't eat a thing for 1 year and dropped 300 pounds. Right?
Wait, let me
It's
find
just the way the body works.
Yeah, so his name is Angus Barberry. Scottish man holds a record for longest medically supervised fast, going 382 days, which is over a year by like 2 weeks, which is crazy. Without eating, he consumed only water, tea, and black coffee during this time. Barberry's fast took place in 1965 to 1966 under the supervision of Dr. Robert Wishart at the Dundee Royal Infirmary in Scotland. He lost over 120 pounds during the fast, but regained his weight after and health after reintroducing food. Regained his weight. So I don't think he gained all of it back, though.
Well, regardless, like, I'm not suggesting that anybody should go to that extreme. I'm just saying, that's literally just the way that it is, right?
Yeah. And during that time, blood and urine samples, stool samples were not taken, but he went a month and a half without having to go number 2. He was 456 pounds or 207 kilograms. And he reached his goal weight. It says his fast officially stopped on July 1st, 1966, when he reached his goal weight of 182 pounds or 82 kilograms. For the next 10 days, his doctors placed him on a diet of salt and then sugar in preparation for solid food. Thus, some sources recorded the fast as being 392 days instead of 382.
That did 75 days without any type of supervision or anything like that. And he posted like every day about like how he was feeling. And he was a D end or a D tackle that I played with at SEMO. And so he about
this isn't Edgar though.
No.
Okay.
No, Edgar would not do that. He doesn't need to do that.
I feel like he's like already in good shape. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in great shape. He ended up losing like 65 pounds, and it was a very noticeable 65. But again, this is a 270 pound human. So there's plenty of food for the body to run off of energy wise for a good while. And the funny thing is, a lot of times when people do that, they get insane amounts of energy because their blood sugar is so regulated and they're not sleepy all the time from all the junk coming in. I think like before you do something again, like a GLP-1, you want to kind of run the gamut of all the other things that you can do to find a solution. Mm-hmm. And what most people have the biggest issue with, David, is that the quickest way to, let's say, boost your metabolism is adding in strength training alongside a whole food diet. So we're talking about 2 ingredients or less, right?
Right. Yep.
And the problem that people have with that is they're so on the go that they don't make the time, again, discipline. They don't make the time to say, okay, I'm going to cook some brown rice and chicken breast and some vegetables, and I'm going to have that for 3-4 meals a day, right? And if you haven't done that, I'm sorry, you're just not qualified to do something like this.
Right.
And what happens when you eliminate all these ultra processed foods is your metabolism starts to come up because it's not having to function alongside of all the inflammation. But most people just, I don't know what it is. And I've seen it with a lot of my people is they just have this issue with going to Whole Foods. And it's a very tough thing to do because people eat out so much and they have kids and they're giving their kids the same crap foods that they're eating. And it's a snowball effect, right? And the reality is if you just stand the F up and go into your kitchen and start throwing shit in the trash that has more than 3 ingredients, you'll be left with a pretty bare cabinet and a pretty bare fridge.
You say too, like you kind of take back your independence when you start cooking for yourself and preparing things, because then you're not so tied down to the temptations of it all. Like, Emily's dad, after they had a hurricane up in New York, he had to remodel his downstairs of his house. Mm-hmm. And he got a brand new kitchen. And so that's actually when he like really got into cooking. And to this day, I mean, that was like almost 10 years ago. And he's always sending pictures to me and Emily of just like meals that he's cooking because he's just super into it. Like he doesn't really like stopping anywhere. He's like, oh yeah, I could just make it. Like I'll stop at the grocery store, I'll get something. Busy guy, owns a law firm, teenage daughter still at the house. Nope, not busy, not too busy to cook. He's super down for it. Oh, by the way, I want to say, so he actually maintained a healthy weight of 196 pounds. Angus, the guy who did not eat for 382 days, and some will say 392 because he only had salt and sugar for 10 days. And his first meal, Justin, was a boiled egg and a slice of buttered bread. And he told the reporters, I have forgotten what food tasted like. It went okay. It went down okay. I feel a bit full, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's full, dude.
Isn't that in essence what the body's designed to do? Like you're going long periods of fasting and then you get food, and long periods of fasting and you get food.
Yeah, your stomach is shrinking, so now he can't eat as much, which is great for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I was 400 plus, I would do this. Like, but I'm not 400 plus.
Yeah, of course. But again, like if people would just look at their food and say, if I'm looking in my cabinet and I go through my cabinet and I say, number one, if it's got, let's be really realistic. If it's got more than 5 ingredients, it probably needs to go, right?
Yeah.
So a protein is if a piece of chicken is.
Well, you're not throwing spices in there, right? I mean, I got to have my beef bouillon. Got to have my beef bouillon on my.
That's different, right? But
bison.
What I'm saying is, like, look at the ingredient list on a bowl of cereal or on cereal compared to a package of beef. It's just beef.
Right.
There's nothing else in it.
Oatmeal.
Yeah, it's oatmeal.
Oats. Yeah, it's just oats.
So if you would just look at your cabinet and ask yourself 3 questions: does this food, and be super honest and realistic with yourself. Don't be lying to yourself, right? Because that's just not going to solve any problems. Does this food get me closer to my goal? Does it have no effect? Or does it hurt me from getting to my goal, right? And I think most people know the difference, right? Most people that don't have control of what they consume know the difference of what's going to help them get where they want to be and what's going to hurt them from getting to where they want to be, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if I go in and I see Jimmy Dean sausages, does that help me or does that hurt me? What's going to happen when I eat that? How do I feel when I eat that compared to, 2 eggs and a piece, some chicken sausage that's minimally processed or some fruit? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that's kind of sums it up. Like we said, like it's looking at everything, and this GLP-1s can get you to your goal, but you don't get everything else in check first. It's not going to work as well. And you're looking at more potential side effects from overdosing and not doing your research before you just want to have the quick fix.
Again, this is a very like fence situation for Dave and I, in that there's a lot of things about this drug or these drugs that I support. And I do think they are going to get better as we get smarter, and AI and all these different things with the science. They're going to get better, and they are helping a lot of people. In fact, I think of all people, Jordan Syatt came out and, stood on a hill and said, GLP-1s are good. I was wrong. I've got lots of clients that are changing their lives with it, and they're doing it the right way. And I support it. He was saying he even did it and how it made him feel better and all these different things. So he's somebody that like you can pretty well trust with doing, with fitness stuff. Like I feel like he's a pretty decent, reputable source for me. Like he trained at Westside Barbell.
Yeah.
You know, he does jujitsu. Like he does things that make sense to me, that are relevant to me. So again, I feel like there's some definite good with these drugs, but you have to know what you're getting involved in when it comes to these drugs and how to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you got to have some cash saved up
Right.
to be able to afford.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to have to, I think I want to look at his, the guy who fasted. I want to put a picture of him on here because people,
and not for nothing, but Dave and I will, and Dave can probably attest to this. Like we can get it done for you in a longer period of time, but a third of the cost. Just saying.
I think that's the issue, right? Is they want the quick fix, and I think some people don't care how much it costs, right?
What is the overarching goal with taking a year to do something? You sustain the results,
right?
When you're done working with that coach.
Yeah. You lose it and you keep it off, and I will
learn how to continue to get results on your own too.
Right, and that's you actually brought up one more point. I was going to close it out, but I recently watched the Biggest Loser documentary on Netflix. It was
how was that?
Super good. I thought it was really good because I used to watch that show with my mom, and we were both overweight. My mom is super underweight now. She's a very good weight with the lap band surgery like 5 years ago, maybe 6 now. But I used to watch it because I thought the trainers were really good at what they did. And then I started to notice later on in the season that I stopped was they weren't really teaching anything. And the doctor, I didn't know about this. The doctor actually worked for Al Davis and the Raiders. And he says that he inspired the movie Any Given Sunday. I think that is not true at all. You're not inspiring a whole movie about a football coach who will do anything to win. Like that doesn't, that's stupid. But anyway, I think that's a little far-fetched. Let me just say it's a reach. I'm sure that he did have a part in it. But what happened was they did interview a few people that were on the show, and I will say some of them did gain some weight back. Some of them took GLP-1s, and then some people just had awful experiences on the show, and they were saying that they were exercising for 8-10 hours a day and being given caffeine pills and other weight loss drugs, but not actually. And I said this to my mom when we talked about it. When did you ever see them, they would do these temptation challenges to say whoever eats the most calories in a 5-minute period would have a chance to go home and see their family. But then also they had their trainer with them on that trip so they can still get their workouts in. But that's not really helping, right? You have a temptation. So let's eat bad food, donuts, cookies, pizza, what have you. But we're a weight loss show. They would never say, hey, here's 10 recipes, or let's every single episode, we're going to do 2 recipes, or teach the contestants, or at least the contestants are cooking something, or, hey, this is a great way to get your steps in during the working day. When you go back to work, this is how I want you to structure it. I mean, they never really talked about how to be more in control of their food choices once they got back home. And there were people that lost scary amounts of weight and then gained it all back. Scary amounts of weight, have left it off and then try to, remain private. I don't know. It was just pretty bad.
I'm seeing a minimum of 5 lawsuits against the Biggest Loser. And the main reason why is because they put them in such a caloric restriction.
Right. 800 to 1,000 calories.
Yeah. Through food, but also through like energy surplus or energy expenditure. Right. That these people gained all their weight back and then some because they did not give them the tools to be successful afterwards. And they also ruined their metabolisms because of all the muscle that they lost in that process. And a lot of those people won those lawsuits. So that just goes to show you like the quick out isn't the right way. And I'll stand up and say like, I do 3-month challenges, right? Yep. 12-week challenges, 6-month challenges, whatever. And even though the winner is like the best overall transformation. The goal when I do those challenges is to give people the tools and the education so that they can do it the right way. Right. So like on average, people lose around 10 pounds with my challenges. Right. But the goal isn't necessarily about let's see who can lose the most weight the fastest, because that's just kind of dumb. Let's see who can get the best results. But then who's going to show up to every weekly Zoom call that I do that provides the education on nutrition and supplements. And I show these people weekly how to train, right? How to write their own programs, right? So I'm not the pot calling the kettle black here saying you need to take your time. Yes, I do challenges, but there's substance to these challenges. It's not just who can lose the most weight the fastest, right? Because I could just say, okay, you just don't eat and let's see how much you lose, right? It's like
Justin's 90-day challenge. No one eat. That would be insane.
No one eat.
So I was going to mention this too, and we can end it after this. The other takeaway that I had was 2 trainers that were on there, Jillian Michaels and Bob Harper, who we've talked about Bob Harper before. I think he's a piece of shit after watching this documentary. But both of those trainers, how many regular people do you train for your client base? You would say nearly all of them, right? Just regular people, regular Americans that are just out here and they work a 9-to-5 job. They got a family. This is the way it is. I'm a typical American, right? Jillian Michaels and Bob Harper. Bob mentions it. He was a group fitness trainer, and who came into LA but Julia Roberts in the 90s when he was there. Mm-hmm. So she was one of his clients. So he was a celebrity trainer. Jillian Michaels, celebrity trainer, right? Now you're dealing with people that are 300, 400 pounds plus that are not celebrities. They don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put toward a personal chef, and they can have a personal trainer once they leave the show, and they actually have to work every day. Versus you have a personal trainer who is not only a normal person themselves with responsibilities, but they get it. Hey, you know what? You don't have to just hire a chef and set it and forget it. You don't have to be Patrick Mahomes, right? And have all of these access to these things and be still putting in the work. But you could just we could teach you how to cook. We could teach you how to move your body and learn how to do it yourself and stay sustainable versus let's just put you in this crazy deficit. And once you're off the show, you are just going to gain them back because you didn't learn anything.
Yeah. The core, I think the core foundation of the show is good, right? Like,
and that's what the 2 creators were saying.
Yeah. Let's get these people to lose weight as fast as possible so they can be healthy. But again, when you throw in the as fast as possible, that's where problems start to occur. And because that's not doing things slow is not good for TV. It's just not.
Exactly. And they asked for like recent, one of the guys, he won season 8. I think his name was Danny. He won. And he also was saying later on, hey, can we have these after show resources for former contestants to like have the tools to learn how to cook or move or, I'm not asking for a bundle of cash. I'm asking for actual help. Most of these people don't win. There's only one winner, right? Each season. Hey, can we help the people that were on the show? Maybe we'll reach more people through that story. So pretty crazy. Yeah. That'll have to be in the headline, GLP-1s and the Biggest Loser documentary.
Yeah. And I think that if we're fencing this, the devil's advocate component there is people need to also take personal responsibility for themselves after doing something like that. You can't just be brain dead and think like, oh, I did all of this. I'm just going to go right back to what I was doing before. Like, come on, dude. Like, I
think it's the staring at yourself in the mirror and asking for help and knowing that you're not doing everything perfectly. And like, that's totally okay.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't get up and ask for help, I mean, we've talked about this. It's like, why did I come to you, right? Hey, I'm trying to get stronger. Dude, you're asking for help. Great. Awesome. Like, that's the first step, right? I'm asking for help.
Exactly.
Sweet. We'll end it with that. Justin, thanks again. I think this was a great episode. But thanks for joining us on another episode of the Conjugate Dads podcast. For my lovely co-host, Justin Commodores, I'm Dave Chase. And before I forget, as always, this episode is sponsored by Common Athlete Performance Coaching. Thanks for joining us once again. And we'll see you next time.